Wrestling fans, promoters, wrestlers, and anyone who enjoys pro wrestling now have something new to be excited about. The Wrestling Fans International Association, the WFIA, is back. WFIA is an association that exists to promote, grow, and support professional wrestling throughout the world. Membership is free. Your membership includes a free digital bi-monthly publication of the Wrestling Fan News newsletter, association updates, voting privileges, and much more. Please go to thewfia.org, that's thewfia.org, and become a member today.
This is Sam from Welcome to Slamtown. Tim and I would like to extend our condolences to the family of Terry Funk, who unfortunately passed away earlier today. We'd just like to send our love and well wishes to his family, and just wanted to say, keep on funking up there in heaven, big man. The wrestling world lost a true hardcore icon, and he will be dearly missed by the fan base.
Absolutely.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the new episode of Welcome to Slamtown. Tonight, Tim and I will be discussing a couple of matches from some recent Game Changer wrestling shows. We've got the Lucha De Explosivo event. We have Night 1 and Night 2 of GCW Homecoming. Before we get to the matches, I would like to include a little disclaimer. Some of these matches are what is considered a death match, something that gets pretty violent, pretty graphic. So if there's any young listeners or people who have an aversion to blood and extreme weaponry, this might not be the episode for you. But if you do end up listening, we appreciate it, and thank you for sticking with us.
Much love to all of our fans.
All right, buddy. So first on the docket, we have GCW's Lucha De Explosivo, a live event they did in Tijuana, Mexico. And the match we wanted to discuss from this show was the main event, a 6-man exploding death match. This match was...
What a crazy title, first off.
Right. So this match was contested between two tag teams, one consisting of Los Mazizos, which is Ciclope and Miedo Extrema, and their tag team partner, Damian Seis, it's a Spanish gentleman, so it's not 666. And they fought the team of Joe Leader, John Wade Murdoch, and Reed Bentley. Now, I, for one, absolutely loved this match.
Because
if there's one thing I love in wrestling, I like a standard one-on-one. I like a normal wrestling match. But give me something big and something stupid. A big, dumb gimmick that I can just sink my teeth into.
Yeah, something way over the top.
And on top of that, it's a death match. Mm-hmm. That just opens
what more
up.
Could you ask for?
Right. Literally nothing. Maybe 2 exploding death matches, but that might be a lot. This match featured exploding ring ropes that I believe were barbed wire.
Yeah, that's correct.
So they were barbed wire with C4 charges in them, and wrestlers would like bump into the barbed wire rope, and it would kind of it would explode, like sparks and a little bit of flame would come up. Mm-hmm. They had weapons that were laced with C4, steel chairs, a kendo stick that was wrapped in barbed wire but also set to explode. There were 2 tables wrapped in barbed wire. If I remember correctly, I said steel chairs, a lot of barbed wire, a lot of explosions.
It was basically any wrestling weapon you can imagine. They just either wrapped it in barbed wire and put explosives in it, or they just had it blow up in some way. It was crazy.
Oh, yeah. And on commentary, they did mention that at some point during the match, an alarm would sound and a part of the ring was going to explode.
Right.
Now, if you didn't watch this show, this event looked like it was hosted in a gymnasium of some kind, like maybe an Elks Lodge or like a high school.
Yeah, it looked like the kind of place where they would like you would buy like a ticket like after like a school event for like a pancake dinner. Then you'd go there to
Yeah,
support like a local cause.
yeah,
It
or
was
maybe a
quite the
prom was
setting.
had there.
Right, right.
Oh man, but yeah, the match was. I thought it was pretty fun. Not as fast paced as I wanted it to be, but that's kind of like the issue you run into where one team is three like luchador wrestlers and the other team is just like hard knuckled American like deathmatch guys. Um, like Ciclope and Miedo Extrema do wrestle deathmatch style, but on top of that, they do like the more high flying flips and hurricane ranas and all that.
Right.
Whereas the guys they were fighting, John Wayne Murdoch is, I think the best way to describe him is just as a bruiser. He just is like all gas, no brakes, pummeling people, hitting them with like light tubes or
Yeah.
chairs, thumbtacks, you name it. Um, I thought one of my favorite spots in this match, uh, Ciclope was fighting up in the second floor balcony with, I believe it was Reed Bentley, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Uh, they're fighting over the balcony, and right below them is the two like plywood tables wrapped in barbed wire,
Mhm.
and everybody's like, all the commentators like, oh my god, they're up on the balcony. Oh, what's gonna happen? How are they gonna get down?
Gee,
And
I
very
wonder.
very shortly after that, we found out how one of them was going to get down.
All of
Reed
our questions
Bentley,
were answered.
right. Everything we ask, we got answers. And that's all you want. Um, Ciclope was tossed over the railing of the balcony through the double stacked tables onto a concrete floor.
Yeah, it was insane.
Oh my God. Like watching it through a TV screen, I felt like my butt clench. I was so scared that he was going
Right.
to get hurt. I could only imagine what it was like to be there live.
Because that must have been at least like maybe 20, 25 feet, like drop.
It was a big drop. I'm
Yeah.
surprised these guys don't get hurt more than they do. Like the stuff they pull off in these death matches, it's like how do you get away with that first legally? And then secondly, like why would you do that to your body?
Right,
You
right.
know?
They're going all out, like just for the love of the sport and like just to put on an
Right.
entertaining match. It's commendable.
And like they do it for us. They do it for the fans. They do like what they know is going to get a genuine reaction from the crowd, and it's all just to put a smile on someone's face or maybe like help them escape just like a bad day. You get to watch your favorite wrestling and see these guys put on a show for you.
Right.
And that's one of the greatest feelings in the world is when you're sitting down, you put on wrestling, and there's just something insane happening in front of you.
Yeah, it like
And
takes you out from whatever kind of bad headspace you might be in or anything like that, and you're just able to just kind of immerse yourself in it. It's great.
and wrestling isn't like you don't really have to think too hard about what's happening on TV, but like you can get involved, you can analyze, you can learn, you can experience, or you could just flick it on TV and have it on in the background. Something cool happens, you look over, boom, there it is, and it's got something for everybody. I know
Right.
deathmatch wrestling isn't everyone's cup of tea, but you can give it a shot. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it again. It's just something fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know this is, again, correct me if I'm wrong. This is one of your first experiences with watching like an independent wrestling company and also like deathmatch stuff.
I I'd say so. I've seen a few ECW like hardcore-ish matches. I don't know if they would be considered death matches, and I don't think ECW was independent by any means. But in terms of like modern day stuff, like definitely a new foray for me at least.
And I appreciate you checking it out. I know when I had pitched watching this, I was like, but it does get a little graphic. So if you don't want to watch it, like, I won't get mad, but I appreciate you checking it
was
out.
All good. Yeah, and I will say this, exploding barbed wire match, for as insane of a premise as it is, I do feel like it wasn't nearly as like gruesome or hard to watch as some of the stuff from Homecoming. Like there wasn't like gratuitous like bleeding or like people's faces busted open or anything like that. It was There was still some hardcore stuff, but I feel like for a first time kind of checking this sort of stuff out, it was a really good kind of entry level point, I'd say, at least for my personal, what I'm comfortable with watching, I'd say.
Yeah, it was something to ease you into the idea of a more, like exactly like you said, a more violent style of wrestling than what you'd see on like network television.
Right.
And perfect segue moment, you did bring up Game Changer Wrestling Homecoming and people getting busted open.
I did, and you know where that happened a lot?
I think I know where you're going with this.
Of Homecoming Night 1, yes.
The opening match, Homecoming Night 1, Maki Death Kill, Nick fucking Gage, and Maki fucking Ito versus the Deathmatch Royalty, Deathmatch King Matt Cardona, and the Deathmatch Queen Steph Delander. Now, there was a moment before this match even started that I know you loved the hell out of, buddy.
Oh, 100%. And by they, I mean they called themselves the Death Busters. They rolled into the arena in a Ghostbusters car. When they got out, they were decked out in Ghostbusters like custom like apparel, like the like jumpsuit sort of things that they wear.
Yeah.
Oh, it was cool.
Oh man, that's one thing I will say. Matt Cardona, when he left the WWE, and for those of you who might be listening for the first time, Matt Cardona wrestled under the name Zack Ryder for almost a decade in the WWE. He got released from the company and started wrestling independent. A lot of his shows he does, his ring gear is always themed. There was one show he wrestled, he had Buzz Lightyear ring gear on. When they went to Japan, he had Bowser themed ring gear.
Oh, I love that.
So he had the custom jumpsuit, as Tim mentioned. On the back of it, it looked like the Ghostbusters logo, but instead of the ghost, it was Nick Gage's face. It just, like, say what you will about Matt Cardona, love him or hate him, but this man, like, draws attention to wherever he comes. And I feel comfortable saying this, he's one of the biggest things on the independents right now. I think across all the companies he's wrestled in, like on the independents at the moment, he actively is holding like 7 or 8 world titles.
Wow, that's very impressive.
So, like, he's just going indie to indie, winning titles. Like, he's the House of Glory World Heavyweight Champion at the moment, and he just got a, albeit controversial, victory over Hiroshi Tanahashi, who's one of the biggest names in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's like, this guy is just killing it right now.
Right.
And opening a show with a death match, so Cardona bills himself as the deathmatch king, but one of the bits he does to generate heat from the crowd is he never wants to actually wrestle in a death match. So,
which is such a funny premise.
Right. If you're calling yourself the deathmatch king, back it up. But I think it's hilarious. It's like, so funny. Anytime Matt Cardona is advertised for a show, I try to check it out because I know he's going to do some kind of just crazy stunt or antics. He's just fun to watch.
Right. It's always entertaining. At least, this match that I watched, like, just the theatrics of it, like, all the stuff that they were pulling off, it's like you could tell like they were really trying, and they really succeeded at putting on like a very entertaining match.
Oh yeah. For the WWE fans out there, WWE does not refer to their stuff as wrestling per se. They refer to it as sports entertainment. So Cardona and Delander are both former WWE wrestlers, superstars, and they were saying it was going to be a sports entertainment match, which to them is just a traditional no gimmick wrestling match. But like halfway through, they always do something to turn it into a death match. Like it'll consist of Cardona grabbing a light tube or Delander hitting somebody with a chair or a kendo stick.
Right. They always find a way.
Right. They always find a way to make it a death match, even though it's just them trying to cheat a win. I noticed in the notes that you sent me before we started recording, you wrote something about a certain culinary implement being utilized in this match.
I did. I noticed that there was a very big crowd reaction when a pizza cutter was brought out and used in the match.
That's Nick Gage's like signature deathmatch weapon is the pizza cutter.
Pizza cutter.
So when Maki Ito became gang certified, because Nick Gage is the leader of the MDK, that murder, death, kill gang, he gifted Maki with her own pizza cutter.
Makes sense. She was very excited to receive her very own pizza cutter.
Oh my God, she's fun to watch. Like, she's not the best wrestler in the world, but she's got a personality. She's got a gimmick. For those of you that don't know, Maki Ito's style in the ring, she's a Japanese wrestler. Her ring gear is kind of reminiscent of like a Sailor Moon, Sailor Scout outfit kind of thing.
Right, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, it's like a kind of schoolgirl anime outfit thing, and her pizza cutter was outfitted to look like Sailor Moon's wand.
So cool.
That's just like an insane thing to say in a wrestling podcast. A Sailor Moon pizza cutter was used in a death match against two people dressed as Ghostbusters that rode to the ring in the Ecto-1.
Right, and that's one thing that I love about like like all of the GCW stuff that we checked out is like they're able to just kind of have fun and like just like be so creative with kind of like some of the gimmicks that they have or some of the stuff they wear or references or stuff like that. It's just so fun to watch. I love it.
I think you can get away with a lot more shenanigans, we'll call it, in an independent setting than you can in a televised company, because you've got to follow like TV guidelines, all that. Like,
right. I'm sure there's like like copyright or like brand recognition stuff that they have to worry about. Like I have no idea how it all works, but I'm sure that there are a lot of hoops you'd have to jump through to have to roll out in the Ecto-1 if you're on network television.
Oh yeah. And another note you wrote about this match was, this is one of the rare instances where someone who pulls out the thumbtacks doesn't end up getting slammed into the thumbtacks.
Right.
Oh my God. I thought that was one of the funniest things that you wrote. Like, you're relatively new to like the wrestling community, but you've already noticed this thing.
Yeah. I don't remember if we were talking about it last episode or if we were, just texting about it. But you were saying that most of the time, whoever, sets out a table for someone to go through or pulls out thumbtacks and scatters them, normally the person who sets all of that up ends up being the one who goes through it.
Right, so like the guy who's talking the big game, like, oh, look at these thumbtacks. I'm going to slam this guy into the thumbtacks.
Right.
Guaranteed those are in his back 5 minutes later.
Right.
Or wherever they happen to hit him.
Yeah, so it was funny to see it play out the other way for this match.
Also, like 9 times out of 10, when thumbtacks are introduced, a person's back goes into the thumbtacks. So when they like get up from the floor, their back is just coated in like little shiny bits, and there's some red coming out from underneath. There was a match at an All Elite Wrestling pay-per-view I don't remember which one, but it was a steel cage match between the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks. One of the things the Young Bucks do to generate heat is they wrestle in like pairs of Jordan sneakers, and it's like
Oh,
kind of just to like piss off the sneaker community, I guess.
yeah, that's something. That'll
So
definitely generate heat.
right, because people who like sneakers.
Right, right. You do
They're
not want to.
creasing
You don't.
these things,
Yeah,
like
you don't want to crease them. You don't even want to
right.
wear them all that much, let
You
alone
can't crease
wrestle.
your J's.
Exactly.
So one of the spots they did, I think I don't know a lot about sneakers, but there's a pair of Dior, like the designer fashion brand,
Hmm.
Jordans. And both members of the Young Bucks were wearing them, but one of them pulled out. So like you have two sneakers on because you have 2 feet. One of the Young Bucks pulled out a third sneaker, same
Whoa, whoa,
pair,
whoa.
the Dior Jordans,
A third sneaker?
a
That is
third
unheard of.
sneaker. So he takes off one of his and puts this one on. And you're kind of looking at it and you're like, what's up with that sneaker? Why does it look like a soccer cleat? There were thumbtacks on the bottom of the shoe.
Oh my god.
And he super kicked Pentagon in the face.
Damn.
So Pentagon
Damn.
got a thumbtack super kick. It's like, that's one of the coolest friggin' things I've ever seen.
That's insane.
Oh, man.
At least, like, if you fall onto, like, a bed of thumbtacks, like, on your back, like, you kind of have a lot of surface area to kind of spread it out over.
Right.
Whereas,
So all the
if you're just
pain
getting...
isn't like one area.
Right. Whereas, like, if you're just getting kicked in the face, it's like, that's a very small area. And, like, people's feet are pretty powerful, especially if you're kicking with it. Like,
Here's the thing. What if the shoe got stuck?
oh my gosh.
Like one of the Young Bucks, his foot came out of the shoe and the shoe was just still on
She's
Pentagon's
just
face.
stuck to his face.
I
That
was
would
like,
be
what the
funny.
hell would you have done? Oh my god. And on top of
That'd have been
that,
a great visual.
yeah, and Pentagon is a masked wrestler, so I feel like that adds more room for error. Like the shoe and the mask get tangled together, so
Oh
he's
my
just
gosh,
wrestling
yeah.
the match with thumbtacks in the side of his face.
I bet if that happened, he would pull out a fourth shoe.
A fourth shoe, so he had one on each side.
Exactly.
Can't let the other eye be left out.
No, not at all. Be very lonely.
On that note, speaking of insanity in wrestling, this brings us to the next match we wanted to discuss tonight
The
on
double dog
GCW.
collar.
Oh my god. I've seen dog collar matches before, but they're always one-on-one. One person chained to another person via dog collar. A
Right.
double dog collar match, it's a tag team match, but it's under Texas Tornado rules, so no one has to tag in or out. One member from each team is chained to a member from the other team. So they're wearing dog collars around their neck, and then there's a length of chain, and at the other end is the other guy and their dog collar. So this match was contested between Joey Janela and Sawyer Wreck versus Charles Mason and his mercenary Pero. Pero's a big boy.
Pero was a large man. A large lad, you could say.
Just the largest of lads in a land of little lads.
And I gotta say, also, Charles Mason looked like he just got off of a 9-to-5 office job. Dude rolls up wearing slacks and a button-down white shirt with like dress shoes, and I was like, is this like who's the final wrestler? Like, obviously, this guy is not going to be it.
That's
and
the
then, nope,
manager.
that was him.
So the reason Charles Mason wrestles in the dress shirt and pants is his character, from what I gather, because he's like relatively new to me. His character is like a serial killer. It's like a Patrick Bateman from American Psycho kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So that's why he wrestles in the dress shirts. And for this match, he wore like a crisp, laundered white dress shirt.
Right. It was very clean.
When these guys started bleeding, that was one of the coolest visuals in this show. Like a white dress shirt just soaked in blood.
It was
oh
insane.
My god. These guys, so for those of you that don't know, Sawyer Wreck is a female wrestler. One thing GCW also does a lot of with They not only do death matches, which isn't a lot of people's cup of tea, they also do intergender wrestling, which isn't a lot of people also don't like intergender wrestling. What that is men can fight women one-on-one or teaming up. Uh, Usually, if there's men and women in the same match, the men have to fight the men, the women have to fight the women. Under intergender rules, you can fight anybody.
Right.
So that, like, I always go into those matches kind of weary because I don't really like it personally. But this one was fun. Sawyer Wreck was tough as nails.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh my god. One of the coolest moments in this match. So this event was hosted at the Showboat. It's in New Jersey. It's kind of where GCW started from. So they call the show Homecoming because it's them returning to the arena they started their first couple shows in.
Makes sense.
The area they were wrestling in is a new area in this venue because where they had it years prior was turned into an indoor mini golf course. So this was like a it kind of looked like an indoor parking garage.
Yeah. There were some like concrete pillars and just very high like ceilings and just a lot of like white walls everywhere.
Right. And you brought up concrete pillars. They were white concrete pillars.
They were. Keyword
double
past
yes. A double dog collar match gets pretty violent, pretty bloody, pretty quick. I believe Janela was chained to Pero and Sawyer was chained to Mason.
Yeah, that's correct.
There was a moment when they were fighting outside the ring, and I think Pero like pulled Janela forward with the chain into one of these poles. Mm-hmm. Janela headfirst into the pole. Just a streak of red blood from where his head connected to the floor.
Oh my gosh. It was something out of a horror movie almost.
Oh my god.
His face was busted open. He was all bloody. So he just like hits the concrete pillar just like head first and is just slowly like dragged down.
He like slid down it. It looked like a Mortal Kombat fatality.
Oh my gosh. That's a great way of putting it. Mortal Kombat fatality.
Oh, holy crap.
Oh goodness.
Oh man. And a few minutes ago when I said this really wasn't for everybody, I went to see Game Changer Wrestling in Hartford, Connecticut, when they came through and did a show at the Webster. And
shout out Hartford.
Shout out Hartford. It's our stage capital. I brought my dad with me and my girlfriend Destiny. Destiny is a real trooper. She's not like a wrestling fan, but she indulges her super fan boyfriend and will watch. She roasts it a little bit, but we're having fun, and I just appreciate that she watches it with me. Yeah. I brought her to a GCW show with me. Oh my god!
Oh goodness!
She was just happy to support, and she did not have a good time. But I just have to say, I appreciate her coming with me.
Very commendable.
We watched Joey Janela fought Charles Mason one-on-one at that show.
Okay.
If any of you out there want to go back and watch it, it was called Game Changer Wrestling Cleanup Man from Hartford, Connecticut. Oh my God. It was, I had a lot of fun. It's a very cool experience live, but my lovely girlfriend did not share the sentiment, but I'm still very appreciative she came with me.
Oh man.
But back to the match at hand. If you had to guess how a double dog collar match was going to end, would two words come to mind? Scissor lift.
Yeah, that I would never in a million years have guessed that. I would have thought something way, way, way tamer than that.
And it didn't look like a murder attempt.
Right.
So, as we said earlier, the wrestlers are chained by the neck in dog collars. So, in the background of the event, you can see a scissor lift like parked up against the wall underneath some like banners that were hanging. So it's like, they use that to get up to the ceiling, hang up these signs. Janela and Sawyer Wreck get into the scissor lift and hit the up button. Like the scissor lift starts extending into the air. Pero and Mason are still on the ground. Basically, Janela and Wreck hung these guys to win the match.
Yeah, that's straight up what happened. The referee had to come over and pretty much called it there.
This match was like the victory. If you like look at the result page, it's like a submission victory. Those guys
I guess
got
it technically was.
Technically, they tapped out, but like, oh my god!
Oh goodness!
Holy
I will say
crap!
One highlight, or I guess a really cool spot that I liked from it was there was a point where Joey Janela was up on one of the corners, looking like he was about to like do like an aerial move, and Pero pulled him off the corner into a drop that Mason Mason was sitting in the center of the ring in a chair, so Pero pulled Joey off the corner using the dog collar into Mason's like waiting arms, and then Mason did like an aerial drop into the chair that was in the middle of the ring. I just thought that was just really impressive, like coordination and just like a really like fantastic spot.
Right, like a lot of the dog collar matches that have happened before this are one-on-one contests. So a lot of the like hardcore antics that occur would be like one guy like pulls the dude really fast into the turnbuckle or something, or he like one guy picks up a steel chair, but the other guy tugs the chain, so the other dude hits himself in the face.
Right.
The amount of like timing and what have you, it must have taken like Pero, Mason, and Janela to work this move out. Oh my god, like A+.
Absolutely. And like one thing that I love is like when there is a match that has like some sort of, like gimmick or theme or something, it's really cool to see moments in that match where they take advantage of stuff that you wouldn't be able to do like in a match like without that sort of gimmick or theme. So like something like that, like you wouldn't be able to pull off just a normal tag team. So it was cool that they took advantage of that opportunity and were able to come up with some creative spots.
Like the creativity you can get away with in a death match or just any kind of gimmick, insane.
For sure.
And when you like let a guy have a little fun with it, it's amazing what these people can come up with. There's a lot of ways you can hurt somebody. Some are pretty by the book. Others are like, who comes up with this?
Right.
You know?
How do you think of like hanging them from a scissor lift as like a big finale moment? It's like, that's crazy.
Right. That's kind of effed up, but
yeah.
It was cool.
Oh man.
All right, we have a match from night 2 of GCW Homecoming, which was a 2-night event. It was about 9 hours of professional wrestling. So we kind of wanted to hit matches that were like personal favorites instead of subjecting you guys to almost, between the 3 shows, 14 hours of wrestling.
That's a lot of content to recap.
So the next match we're bringing up, Absolute Insanity. Not advertised in any of the images uploaded to social media or on podcasts or anything like that. This was a fatal 4-way trios match. 12 guys, 4 teams of 3. The winners of the match, Arez, Gringo Loco, and Jack Cartwheel. They defeated Alex Price, Cole Radrick, and Shane Mercer, and then the team of Dante Leone, Joey Janela, Ninja Mac, and the final team of Ciclope, Jimmy Lloyd, and Miedo Extremo.
That is a lot of people for one match.
The ring for this event looked like it could have fit in a studio apartment.
Like they dwarfed it with just the sheer number of people.
It's like a regulation size standard wrestling ring, but the mass of humanity. Jimmy Lloyd is a big dude. He's a little on the chubbier side.
Right.
Shane Mercer, tall, just wide, looks like a box of refrigerator would come in. When all 12 guys in this match just started pummeling each other, I popped so hard.
Yeah, it just went straight to 100.
Like, all gas, no brakes, baby.
The announcers, like right when they started, like pretty quickly, like, stuff spilled to the outside, and I'm pretty sure one of them was like, "Well, looks like we don't need a ring anymore." And the other guy responded and said, "Well, you do know it needs to end in the ring eventually."
Right. All these
Oh,
matches
man.
pretty much contested, like the pinfall has to happen in the ring. There is no additional like false count anywhere rule or any like that. But usually when it's like a 12-guy match, it's a team of 6 versus a team of 6. Breaking it up into a fatal 4-way,
Right.
that's
That's crazy.
like we were
There's
just
so much
saying,
going on. There's so many people to watch. There's so much excitement and so many, just things that are,
right.
there's always someone to watch.
It's not like a bathroom break match. Like you hold it. You sit there and watch
Oh,
it
yeah.
because you're gonna miss something. There was a spot. So Arez, Gringo Loco, and Jack Cartwheel are all on one team. These three are like luchadors, basically. Arez, he wears like this cool face paint. He's the king of strange style. And then Gringo Loco is the base god. He's Caucasian. He's a Caucasian luchador from Chicago. And then Jack Cartwheel is like a college gymnast who like took up wrestling. And he's like he works for AAA in Mexico more often than not. This kid, I can call him a kid because I'm pretty sure he's younger than I am.
We'll allow it.
Like he lives up to the name Jack Cartwheel. Like he does, like he'll pop the guy on his shoulders and then do a cartwheel with them on his shoulders.
It's wild. Like, just like how nimble and mobile he is, and like how much he can just spin, like just from like just jumping up. It's insane. No words. You have to see it to believe it.
Like it's we're stumbling over our words because you have to watch it to understand like how talented this guy is.
Right.
If I have a recommendation for a Jack Cartwheel match, so the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA, it's a long-standing wrestling promotion. The current iteration of it is owned and like operated by Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he's the president, I guess you would say, of the National Wrestling Alliance at the moment. So there's this event he does called World is a Vampire, and it's like a music festival just of like all the Smashing Pumpkins songs and maybe some other opening acts. But one of the things they do at it is like a full card of wrestling matches because he owns a promotion.
That makes sense.
They did a World is a Vampire event in Mexico. They teamed up with AAA, so it was like NWA versus AAA was like the moniker. One of the titles they have in the National Wrestling Alliance, and I have often referred to this title by the wrong name, as our mysterious benefactor RDS has pointed out to me. He's a big NWA fan. It's the Junior Heavyweight Championship, and the match at World is a Vampire in Mexico was the Junior Heavyweight Champion Kerry Morton versus Kerry Morton Jr., I believe is his name, versus Sal the Pal and Jack Cartwheel. The champion retains, but Jack Cartwheel just put on a show. Like he's good one-on-one, but you can get more creative with your stuff the more people you're fighting.
Right.
Like you can chain moves together. You could flip a dude into another dude and then,
or even just like using your teammates like just to get like extra air or like
right, like springboard momentum off of them. Or like springboard. One of the spots they'll do a lot is if there's one tall wrestler and then like a smaller guy, the smaller guy will climb up onto the other dude's shoulders and jump off of them.
I love that.
That's always fun.
Always fun.
There's a moment in this match where Arez hit like a flip off the top rope onto like 8 dudes.
Yeah.
And then it was followed up by Gringo Loco doing the same thing to a different group of dudes.
Mm-hmm. Like simultaneously almost on opposite sides.
Yeah, like one hit, and then you look over to the other side, and the other guy is doing one, and you're like, holy shit.
Very impressive. It's like synchronized swimming, but with wrestling.
Right. It's synchronized ass kicking.
Dude, one part of this match that I loved was the so I forget the exact sequence for how it went down, but there's one guy in the middle of the ring, another guy came in and put him in a submission hold, then another guy came in and put that guy in a submission hold, and then it just kept stacking, and everyone was just getting put into submission holds until it was just like a massive pile in the middle.
12 submissions.
Right.
Oh my god, that's great. Like, another thing I love about big multi-man matches, like the situation you were saying, everyone's in a submission, so like, what happens if one guy taps out? How do you figure out who the winner is?
Right.
I'm also a big fan of, like, there's one guy standing in the ring, one dude comes in, hits a finisher on him, and then he's like standing there gloating for a second, turns around, the next guy is there, hits a finisher, and it keeps going until everyone has gotten a finisher in.
Right.
They either do it in a sequence where it's like, okay, Joey Janela did his, and then Miedo Extrema comes in, and then it's Gringo Loco, and then it's Ares, or even better, one guy takes all the finishers.
Oh, I like that.
Oh my god, did they do that to Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania? Oh no, they did that to him at the Royal Rumble. The year Johnny Knoxville was in the Rumble. Oh my god.
That's just so funny to watch.
It's we've said it a lot tonight, but it's just creative. It's creative fun. The more people you have jammed into a match, the more you can think of and the more you can execute.
Exactly.
That's why I like independent wrestling a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, a lot of people sometimes dog on the independents because it's like, oh, I don't know who any of these guys are. Why would I want to watch it if I don't know who they are? If you support and watch independent wrestling, local wrestling, anything like that, you are playing a hand in building the next generation of stars.
Right.
If you don't watch independent, if you don't go see it live, these people aren't going to get their chance to shine. They're not going to get their names out there. Like us doing this podcast, as small as it is at the moment, we're bringing a light to Game Changer. We're getting these people's names into people's ears. People are hearing it. Maybe they'll want to check it out. That brings the possibility of bringing bigger talent, expanding shows. It brings a light to this awesome sport. And it's sometimes a nice change of pace from the same thing every week on television.
Right. And it, like, to your point where if someone's like, oh, like, I don't know who any of these people are. I had zero idea who anyone was when you were like, hey, check out these shows. And you don't need to know who anyone is, like, to recognize, like, how entertaining, like, the matches are. Like, I had a blast watching this, like, and, I've learned, after watching, like, who some of the, people are, like, what some of their gimmicks are, stuff like that. But that doesn't take away from the entertainment or, just how impressive it is, like, to see the stuff that they're pulling off. Like, it's still extremely entertaining.
Yeah. And if you tune in, you see a guy you like, look him up on Instagram, punch his name into YouTube, maybe see if they have a Facebook page, see if they have like a list of dates, like where they're wrestling this weekend. See if you can go meet them live, ask them for a picture, get an autograph, like say thank you. Like, even if you can't support monetarily, sharing a video that you saw and you think other people would like, or even if you just want to support the guy, post it on your social media, send it on X. That's what Twitter's called now, I think. I don't use it.
Yeah, like all those little things, it goes a long way.
You can do so much to support the future generations of wrestling, or a lot of independent shows feature guys who are maybe haven't been in the limelight in a while. They use a lot of wrestlers from the 90s or the 80s who are still active. Like, it can be a nostalgia thing for you. It can be looking forward to the future. Pro wrestling has something for everybody. Any style you want to watch, you can find it. If deathmatch isn't your thing, if you're more into traditional, if you're into technical, if you're into lucha, there's something out there you can watch. Game Changer does a lot of it. Every year during WrestleMania weekend, they do an event called The Collective. What The Collective is, they go to the same town that WrestleMania is in, and it's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when the collective usually is, from like 12 in the afternoon to 1 in the morning the next day. They're doing wrestling shows. They'll do maybe 3 or 4 a day. Usually those wrestling shows have a theme to them. They do one called the Big Gay Brunch, and all the wrestlers, referees, announce teams, staff, what have you, are members of the LGBTQ plus community. They do one called the World on Lucha. Everyone on that show is luchadors. They're Mexican wrestlers, or they're people who wrestle the lucha libre style. It's something for everyone. They do an event called Bloodsport. It's hosted by Josh Barnett, who used to fight in the UFC. It's got a wrestling ring. There's no ring ropes. There's no posts, and it's like shoot fighting that you can only win by submission or knockout. I have a funny anecdote. I subjected my dear old man Ralph to watching Bloodsport with me last year during Mania weekend. And then we went over to a friend's house to watch something, and I'm talking to him about Bloodsport. I'm like, oh my God, it was so good. Bloodsport was awesome. Josh Barnett, it's called Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. He's always in the main event, and he usually wins. Last year's Bloodsport, spoilers, is the first time Josh Barnett has lost in the main event. He tapped out to Timothy Thatcher. I'm sitting there watching it with my dad, and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Like, they're doing shoot fighting, and my dad just loudly from his recliner is like, is something going to happen? They're really not, like, doing moves. It's
looks like they're just punching each other.
Right. It's like open, like, bare knuckle fighting, kicks, suplexes, submissions. It's not like your big flashy, like, swanton bomb or tombstone pile driver. Right. It's like UFC kind of stuff.
Right. Which a lot of people, that's their cup of tea. That's what they like to watch, and it's awesome that there's content like that for them to watch and enjoy.
Yeah,
like you're saying, something for everyone.
Right, and if you continue to support, watch their shows on Fight Plus. If it's in your area, maybe buy a ticket, go and support. They do autograph signings. They do meet and greets. They've got a merch table. Sometimes a lot of wrestlers at indie events sell their own merch so that you can help them pay for the wrestling lessons, their gas money to get to the next show. Maybe they need to get lunch or something like that. There's so much you can do to support these guys who are working on their dreams, and some of them achieving their dreams. And it's like, it's not always the best community. People butt heads a lot, like, oh, I like WWE, I like AEW, oh, the independents are dumb. If you can look past the minority that's like, oh, it's only WWE or nothing, it's only AEW. There's a lot of us who just, there's a lot of us who just like wrestling. I don't care what company it is, just as long as I'm watching it and I'm having fun. These people are putting on a show for me, I'm content. There's a lot of wrestling out there, and we're currently in a time where if mainstream wrestling isn't your thing, there's so many options out there.
So many options.
And that's just what I hope people do. I hope you go and you do something out of your comfort zone, like Tim did tonight, to watch like these shows and talk about it with me.
Yes.
Do something
Acknowledge
that might.
Me.
Yeah, you're the tribal chief of Slamtown, buddy.
I am keeping this industry alive single-handedly.
On your back, you're carrying it. Oh my God, the image just shined across my screen. Tim is all elite, people. Tony Khan signed him.
Let's go, baby.
He's going to be at Wembley. He'll be at All In, baby.
The one and only, that's me. You heard it here first, folks.
That's definitely not another wrestler's nickname.
What?
That's definitely not Ricochet. All right. And I think that's a good wrap to this episode, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Great, man.
Thank you for doing this with me, buddy. I appreciate it. And
hey, I appreciate you, man.
Hey, right back at you, beautiful.
Ooh.
And Tim, I think I speak for Tim when I say this. Go out there, watch some wrestling, have a good time.
Have a good time. At the end of the day, that's what matters.
That's all that matters. And once again, everyone, thank you for listening to us ramble about something we both love dearly.
Yes, thank you so much.
We appreciate you listening.
Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you in episode 3.
Woo!
Platforms. It's professional wrestling's greatest, largest, privately owned wrestling library. All the classic hits, flips, slams, and pins of yesteryear are on one place. It's Ultimate Classic Wrestling. Check out the Nature Boy Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Mr. USA Tony Atlas, Tito Santana, Rick Martel, a who's who of professional wrestling's greatest spotlight stars ever to grace the squared circle, all in one place. Grab the best seat in the house for memories and mayhem on Ultimate Classic Wrestling.